What is pain? Pain is a warning signal, telling you you're experiencing something that's harmful to your survival. Pain tells you to let go of the hot frying pan, or that there's something very wrong with your knee. Pain is the punishment for the mistakes you make trying to survive.
Do you know what time it is?
And pain is always a warning of loss. If you burn your finger, your body has lost the cells on the surface of that finger. They're dead. The loss of someone or something that's important to your survival is also painful. You feel emotional pain, and that emotional pain causes an unconscious period, just as certainly as if you've been hit with a club. The sudden shock of a loss, such as the death of someone you love, is a form of unconsciousness which reduces your analytical power.
That your husband was killed in action this July 13th.
The analytical mind shuts down to some degree, and a painful emotion engram is received. These painful emotion engrams are caused by sudden losses, such as the departure of someone important to you, the death of a favorite pet, the loss or failure of a job or business, or the sudden loss of your possessions. After losses such as these, you may not feel like you have as much vitality as you had before. Why? Well, you're alive, so there must be a force or flow of something which keeps you alive. What is this energy, this stuff of life? Call it life force. Think of it as the gas that fills a hot air balloon. The more you have, the stronger your thrust to survive is, and the more energetic, active, and happier you are. The less you have, the less vibrant and alive you are, and the weaker your thrust to survive becomes. So, where does your life force go? Engrams such as these capture your life force, making it unavailable to you. The less life force you have, the less free your emotions are, and you're left feeling sadder, deader, and less alive. As you live forward from childhood and suffer loss after loss, more and more of your life force becomes sealed up, little by little, in your reactive mind.
Do what you always do, which is walk away!
As your enthusiasm for life lessens, so does your potential to survive. The glory and color of childhood seems to vanish. But this beauty and sensitivity to life isn't gone. It's just trapped within you. Release this trapped life force, and you experience a renewed vigor and enthusiasm for life. So there is clearly a connection between life force and your emotions. The more life force available to you, the happier you are in life. How high can your emotions go? And how low? What if you could chart your emotions on a scale? Where would you fall on such a scale? Well, you're going to find out. As you know, you're trying to survive as well as possible for as long as possible. And the purpose of your mind is to make sure you attain that goal. If you make a mistake that threatens your survival, you're punished with pain. So your mind tries to get you to avoid pain. Your analytical mind does this rationally. Your reactive mind does this irrationally. Now, if pain is the punishment for failure, what's the reward for success? It's pleasure. Just as you're thrust away from pain, there's a force within you that thrusts you toward pleasure. And pleasure is absolutely vital to your survival. It's as necessary to living as a beating heart. Pleasure is your reward for pursuing and achieving the goals you have that enhance your survival. The more obstacles you overcome on the way to your goals, the happier you are and the better you survive. On this graph, your urge to survive would be an arrow that thrusts away from pain and toward pleasure. We call this thrust the survival dynamic. You need a strong dynamic thrust to overcome the things in your environment that try to suppress your survival. These suppressors thrust down, threatening your survival in some way, and your analytical mind thrusts up with solutions. The degree to which your mind is able to overcome life's suppressors determines how well you'll persist in life.
Good work, everybody, we can do this!
And some people have a stronger thrust than others. Your potential to survive can be found to fall somewhere on this graph, which is divided into zones. The higher the zone, the stronger your dynamic thrust and the better you survive. For example, in the fourth zone, you'd be able to overcome those suppressors. You'd have an excellent survival potential and you'd be enjoying life. But in zone 0, the suppressors would seem to be too great to overcome and you'd be barely surviving. This is the zone of no hope. These zones also form a scale of emotional tones. As your survival potential rises and falls on the scale, so too do your emotions. In the fourth zone, you would be enthusiastic and would enjoy life. Zone 3 is one of general happiness and well-being. Zone 2 is boredom, a level of bearable existence. Zone 1 is anger. And Zone 0 is the tone of apathy. Good news, successes, and pleasures raise your emotional tone toward happiness. Bad news, failures, losses, and pain will bring your emotional tone down. Your emotions can go down the scale for a few minutes and then go back up. Or they can go down the scale for 10 years and not go back up. If you've suffered too many losses, too much pain, you tend to become fixed at some lower level of the scale and tend to stay there. So engrams act as suppressors to your survival. They suppress your intelligence by feeding irrational information into your analytical mind, and they suppress your dynamics by trapping your life force and lowering your emotional tone. Engrams prevent you from reaching your full potential. If you could eliminate the effects of all the physical pain and losses in your life, then logically, you'd be happier and more intelligent, and you'd have the vitality and thrust you need to reach your full potential. But how can you find something that's hidden from your view? Well, there's a method of thinking and remembering that man didn't know he had.